Hi, this is Jim Moore. You are listening to Justice for America, and it is Wednesday, August 28th, 2024. We're going to be talking about the death of free speech and how America lost her freedom. You may not see a connection to those things, but I'm going to show them to you today. Before we get going, would you please like and subscribe to this channel if you're watching this either on YouTube or Rumble. Would you please go ahead and subscribe so that you know when we come on, and then hit the notification bell because you won't get notified unless you hit the bell. All right. So nice to have you all today. Let me just start out real quick by saying I really appreciate when you watch the program, when you are interactive during the live program. That's made a huge difference lately. Thank you so much. And what I mean by interaction is by saying hello, just making comments as we go along. It doesn't even matter so much what they are, although I appreciate nice ones. You can talk to each other. You can say, hey, Grace, I see Grace there. God bless you. Say, Chrissy. You can talk to each other. You can say good morning. You can make a comment about something I'm saying, whatever. As long as it's nice. And you don't have to agree with me, but you can't be ugly. If you're ugly, I'll block it. Or at least I tell people I'm like the king of blocking. Well, I just don't tolerate that. And you guys are really good. Nobody seems to ever do that, so thank you. So please get the algorithms going and talk it up, say stuff. And when we're done, please make your commitment to share this with somebody. All right. So I want to start out with just a couple kind of humorous things real quick. First of all, well, they're not really humorous, but they're actually kind of they're funny in a way, but they're kind of a warning. First of all, I want to tell you, be careful what you watch. Now, this is not a shameless plug for you to watch me. I get it. There's tons and tons of people out there, a lot of good information. So yeah, but there's a lot of junk out there too. There's a lot of, pardon me, but just crap out there. I mean, I'm serious. I spent a couple days just kind of looking at stuff. You know, you cannot judge by how many people watch a program, whether that program is good. Just a couple examples. I saw one that said today was the day the Lord was coming. People have been doing this for thousands of years, trying to set a date for Jesus coming. And I guarantee you that's not going to happen because he said nobody would know. And yet somebody will say, now here's my point to that. Okay, my point to that is you would not believe how many people watch a video like that. I'm just stunned. I see people, hundreds of thousands, tens of thousands, even millions of people who watch a video that is totally just nonsensical or a lie. Hey, there's my beloved, love you, hon. Don't just watch whatever. Use your discernment. Now listen, I talk a lot to Christians. I'm a Christian man. I love Jesus. I'm going to tell you this. If you have any kind of affinity with the Lord or Christ, or you've said yes to him, you need to be careful. Okay, I'm just saying, Papa Jim is telling you, use the discernment that God planted. If he lives inside you, which is what it actually means to be a believer, he has come and lived inside you. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. You know what I'm saying. Then he gives you discernment, but you have to ask for it and, use your brain. Don't just spend a lot of time doom scrolling or just listening to everybody's prediction about everything. Okay, you get what I'm saying. All right, use your discernment. So I said this morning real quick. We're going to talk about the death of free speech and how America lost her freedom, but this was, I thought, really interesting. This is not one of my links, and if you're a first-time listener, what I do is I have a whole bunch of links. I try to keep them down to less than 20. Today it's like 7. Okay, and I try to make sure they're really short, or at least give you permission if it's a long one to watch just the first few minutes. I'll get into that in a minute. But I give you a link and then ask you to do your homework. Be responsible. I don't get a lot of feedback on this, which makes me believe a lot of people are not watching them, even though I ask them, come back and let me know. But anyway. Somebody sent me a link this morning about something called, that I had never heard of before, and you guys can tell me if you've heard this, a doomsday fish. Has anybody who's listening right now ever heard of a doomsday fish? If you have, just say I have, or yes or no, or whatever. Okay. So this thing is not called, it's called doomsday fish by some, a marine biologist, scientist stuff, and there's a legitimate reason why. Okay. So this doomsday fish has got red eyes. It's like prehistoric. They can grow up to 20, 30, whatever feet. They're massively large. The only time they are seen, now get this, and this is recorded history. The only time they see a doomsday fish is right before a major cataclysm happens. So a major earthquake, a tsunami. They're extremely rare. They only and what happens is there's some kind of disturbance under the water, and it causes them to float up to the top, sometimes dead, sometimes just barely alive. So in the last couple days, and this is on the Jerusalem Post. This is not some crazy, Jerusalem Post is a very, legitimate outlet. So there's some that have washed up. And this has only happened a couple times since 1901. Okay, we're talking about over 100 years, okay? And they just now washed up on the shore up here. So it's causing really even scientific people to go, oh no, something's about to happen. Okay. So I'm laughing at that, not because I don't believe it, but because I think it's just one more thing. It's like God is going out of his way to say, hey, get your act together. Get your life in order. You can't continue because of your fear of what God might ask of you to put this thing off forever. You need to surrender to him. You need to say yes to God. Make your peace with him just like you would if you were lying on your deathbed, and then do your best to walk it out. He'll forgive you when you mess up, but do your best to live for him. All right, that's all the preaching I'm going to do. Let's jump right into the links today. Something is happening in the world that many people are not actively understanding the consequences or engaging because of the predictable consequences. And that is, and I don't want you to check out as I say this, because here's what we do. Sometimes we'll give a phrase or we'll give a subject, and if it's not our thing, that's just not my thing, we just kind of mentally check out. Don't do that. Okay, please, I beg you, don't do that. Listen to the ravings of this lunatic here. Okay, I'm not a lunatic. All right. There is a global, not exaggeration, assault and a movement towards the tamping down, if not the total elimination, of your right to speak out. Now, again, right off the bat, you may say, well, that's just, we just kind of, that's, one of the biggest dangers in the world is passivity. Okay, just not caring. Okay, and so it is a big deal for you watching this program right now. And I'm going to say this right now, and again, I am not exaggerating. This program that you're watching right now and the things that I'm going to tell you in just a minute is illegal now in the United Kingdom. Not this whole program, but certain things that I will say today would get me right now, today, in real time, put in jail if I lived in the UK. And I'm going to prove that. I'm going to show that to you. This is a big deal because here's the question. Is it a fundamental human right? Now, you know the difference between a human right and a American right. We Americans think we have a right to everything. I have the right to do this. Basically, I have the right to do anything I want to do without exception. That's a falsehood. Okay? Every single human right, even human rights, not to mention rights that the United States gives its citizens. Remember, those are two different things. Every right that you have been given or granted, either by God or your government, okay, and we are a people who are governed, all human beings are governed in one way or another, okay, it's not the devil, okay, comes with a responsibility. A right, think of this, R&R, rest and relaxation. No, R&R, right, always comes with a responsibility. Somebody write that down for me right now. Let's get the algorithms woke up here. A right always comes with a responsibility. Now, there are some people, and I'm going to say this respectfully, but I think it's important to say, I have heard the argument from a number of believers, God bless them, okay, I love you, that we have surrendered all of our rights when we came to Jesus. Now, I'm going to tell you again, in my opinion, that is, well, not just my opinion, biblically speaking, that's a falsehood. That is incorrect. Now, when I come to Jesus, I give up all my rights to him, okay? And then he says, here are things that you have a right to ask for. I promise you, if God makes you a promise, you have a right to ask for that promise. Okay, so this idea that we are just unmitigated slaves, we have no voice, we have no rights, we have no responsibility, really, it's just, nothing, is not true. Now, if it is true, then you should tell all, say, persecuted minorities, hey, quit trying to fight for the equal rights movements that have happened, civil rights movements that happened in the 60s. We need to go back and tell all the people involved in that, black, white, or otherwise, hey, if you're a Christian, you shouldn't be, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes these things, we say these things, but we honestly don't question or think them through. All right, I want to talk about the right you've been given. Don't get rid of me now. The right that you have been given to speak. Is freedom of speech a right given to you by the governance of the United States? Okay, or is it? And again, I'm not hate government. Hate no, that's not what I'm talking about. Some of the rights that we have been granted to us as Americans are really good. We really want them. Okay, but I want to tell you that the rights that have been recognized by our government, not initiated by our government, are what we would call a human right. Okay? I'm trying to get you to think. This is not, I know this is not entertainment. There are not bombs blowing off and all kinds of crazy things happening to keep your attention. I want you to think about what I'm saying. God has given us what the framers said were inalienable rights. In other words, nobody can alienate them from your thought process and get away with it because God gave them. Now, again, the system of the United States government has, from its foundation, depended upon that three-letter word God, that God granted certain rights. So you take God out of the equation, then it's just the government saying, all right, so anyway, don't want to go down that rabbit hole. But life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, your freedom to speak without fear of being arrested and thrown in jail. Okay, I'm going to say it real simple, because that's what we're talking about. There are people today, in countries that have claimed to be every bit as democratic as the United States. Okay? Sorry, my glasses keep messing up on me. That are being thrown in jail for waving their nation's flag, for making a post that's saying, this people group is doing something evil. I'm talking about, this is not a threat anymore. Okay, if you've been watching the news, you've seen this. This is not a threat anymore. It is literally happening, and as soon as they cross that Rubicon and cross that red line and say, we're going to do this, which is the UK has done recently, they passed laws saying that you cannot stir up trouble, you can't incite violence. Very vague, they're always vague. As soon as they cross that red line, it begins to grow. Okay, so it always starts out with something really serious, and then it grows to something less serious and less until there is total government control. That's the nature of people who govern other people. If you're not really committed to love and mercy and truth, then you're going to increase in your capacity and your willingness to control more and more. That is the history. Every philosopher in the world will tell you that's true. Every one of them, okay? Because it never doesn't happen. The only ones it doesn't happen with are exceptional people who have a high moral standard and so on. So this is happening in the UK. Okay? I'm going to get there. Do you have a right to speak? Well, I will tell you this. Not only do you have a right, I'm going to go Bible for a minute, so hang on. Not only do you have a right, but you have a responsibility. Jim, can you prove that in the Bible? Absolutely. And that is my final answer, is what the scripture says, because I believe God is the one who wrote the scripture. That's okay. So what did he say? Well, we know the one verse that says, speaking the truth in love. Okay, that is in a very particular context. You can look it up, but it definitely insinuates you're supposed to speak, right? If God says, love each other, do this, and speaking the truth to one another, grow up in love. Okay, that's what it says. It definitely insinuates God's desire for you to speak. Okay, can we at least establish that? Okay, You say, well, that sounds like an option. When you do speak, make sure you do it in love. And that could be an argument. I'm not going to go down that. But let me say this other one. Have you ever read in the book of Ezekiel, where God came to Ezekiel and he said, hey, Zeke. He didn't say that. Hey, Zeke. He says, he said, I have made you a watchman on the wall. Now listen to me. I'm not going to preach a message, but just hear this real quick. Those of you, most of the people that watch this program, with very few exceptions, will say, oh yeah, I believe in God. And do you believe in the Bible? Oh yeah, I believe in the Bible. Okay. God tells Ezekiel, he said, I, God, have made you a watchman on the wall. Okay, I did this. And your watching is supposed to result in speaking. He said, when I warn the people, this and this is going to happen, and you do not speak about what you're seeing, what you're hearing, what I'm telling you, I will hold you accountable. Now, friend, listen, that's more than a right. In other words, hey, I have the right to do this. I can choose to do it. I can choose not to do it. There are times when God actually will hold you responsible for not speaking. Say, well, I'm not Ezekiel. That's true. But everybody has a circle of it. All right. So I'm saying all that to say, the right to free speech is a human right, not a government right. Government has acknowledged it. Okay, at least the founders did. But it is a human right. It is a God-given human right. And even though they didn't say the words free speech, they said life. That means nobody has a right to take your life. Liberty, that would come under the category of free speech. Freedom to speak without fear of being persecuted, beaten, or thrown in jail. Now, history has proven one thing above argument. And that is, whenever free speech begins to be hindered and doesn't stop, that is the first steps towards total control. Okay? Do your history. It's not hard to find. The stair-stepping towards Big Brother, towards 1984, Orwell, communism. I mean, we're not talking about just a couple incidences here. Are you listening? Yeah, I know you probably don't want to hear this, but you need to hear this. You're living in a day in which you are called to speak up. The only thing that will prevent the clamping down of freedom of speech is if people speech. If they speak up. You see, one of the things the enemy wants to do is make people so afraid that they stop talking. I guarantee you right now in the UK, a whole bunch of people are not saying what's on their hearts and minds, okay? Because they don't want to go to jail. And I said it usually starts out with severe cases. In these cases, they're not severe cases. You've heard me talk about this. I got to get to my links here, but the problem is that the UK allowed massive hundreds of thousands of people who have a completely different mindset of the way governance, who have been under bondage, violence. You can look on their flag and there's swords on their flag. That means something, okay? It's death, and it's, not all of them, I get that, but a lot of them. And now they're having, predictably, sometimes it's just like, yeah. Anybody with a brain in their head could say, oh, you know how this is going to turn out? It's not rocket science. I'll tell you how this is going to turn out. These people that are used to living lives of oppression and all of that, coming here thinking that they're going to be able to do whatever they want, will start revolting, and that's what's happening. So now there's riots in the street, there's sexual assaults, there's bloodshed, and so on and so on and so on. And do you know what the government's idea of stopping that is? Not let's stop the guys that are doing it, let's stop the guys that are talking about it. Oh, Jesus. Sometimes I'm just like, my God. Anyway, all right. This is a global movement, and now what's happening is the laws, and these are literal laws. I'm going to show you the link in a minute. Literal laws that have been passed that say if you speak out, and they're always super vague, so there's no way that anybody really knows what's okay to say or not to say, and that's the point. The powers that be want to be able, at will, to say that's hate speech. Oh, no, you can't say that. Okay? And in some cases, now here's the flip side. I won't go deep in this, but the flip side is there are some cases you don't want a teacher verbally abusing your child in the classroom. So it is legitimate to set parameters, as it always is, on our freedoms. All your freedoms have limits, okay? Anytime your freedom tends to like literally hurt or violate somebody else, then that's where the parameters. That's a whole big subject. All right. So let's get into our links, okay? Now that I give that. Right now, this very day, this program could very, very easily get me thrown in jail, okay? Or you. Now, you've only got one of two options. Are you listening? One of two options. I'm not trying to be mean, I'm just telling you. You either speak up or you go silent. That's it. That's it. I will choose to speak up. Why? Because I am called, as I believe most of you are, to push back. Jesus said we're the salt of the earth. All right, I can't go down there. All right. You've probably heard this saying before, worth repeating. It's from Maggie Kuhn, and it says this: stand. Now, some of you might have seen the picture that I put on Facebook. That is a Norman Rockwell picture, who is illustrating through his brilliant talent an everyday, looks like maybe a farmer or a blue-collar worker or whatever. He's standing up there, hat in hand, and he is declaring, he's not being violent, okay? He's not like threatening to harm people. He's simply expressing what he believes to be the truth. Trust me when I tell you, people want to take that right away. And you who are Christians, you think that's no big deal when you're commanded to preach the gospel? That old saying that somebody said, it was a very famous philosopher back in the first few centuries, it says, preach the gospel, and if you must, use words. Do you know, that really sounds, ooh, that gives me the shivers, that's really so awesome. No, listen, it's not awesome because it's not the truth. Jesus didn't say, hey, if you really have to, use your words, but really just live the gospel and that'll be enough. That's actually not what he said at all. He said, do both. He definitely says, through Paul in 1 Corinthians 13, hey, if you preach and you do this and you do all that and you don't have love, he said it's worthless. So that's true. Okay, without love, it actually not only is ineffective, it probably will do harm. So yes, 100% you got to have love. But number two, he didn't say, hey, as long as you have love, you don't really need to say anything. That is absolutely not what he said. So quit quoting that as some kind of a truth from God when it's not. Even though the man who said it, I think, personally was a godly man. All right. Any godly person will get it wrong sometimes. All right. So here's what Maggie Kuhn said. Stand before the people you fear. That's that picture, the Norman Rockwell. Stand before the people you fear and speak your mind, even if your voice shakes. Or you might have heard it said, even if it trembles. Stand before the people you fear. Okay, anybody can stand up. Jesus said, you can love anybody that loves you. That's not a big deal. Anybody can speak out to this group, to the group of people that, agree with you. I mean, come on. But what about saying no? I don't believe that's the truth. Stand up and speak before the people you fear, and even if your voice shakes. All right, number one. So how bad is it really in England right now? Now, again, I want to emphasize, why are we talking about other countries like England and France? Because almost immediately after passing these draconian laws that I just told you about, they're reaching into other countries. Okay, there's the EU, which is a group of countries. It affects them all, okay? They're already reaching, listen to me, I really need you to hear this. Can a person, a king, a parliament from another country tell you that you can't say things? Most of you would go, no, there's no way. There's no way they can do that. Well, do you know that that's actually already happening? And frankly, it's happening with the approval of people. Well, Hillary Clinton, for one, has gone to Europe and visited them and said, hey, we like what you're doing. Okay, that's not a quote, all right? Hey, Heather, God bless you. All right, listen to what I'm saying. I need you, because see, we're dull. We're dull, and it's like we don't really get these things. And I know I'm preaching to the choir, a lot of you, but I need you to understand, this is not coming, it's happening literally today. And if they had gained any more ground from reaching into the U.S., I would be in trouble. You've been hearing me say this for years. You see, there's just something in our head, the cognitive dissonance that says, I just can't believe that's true. Even there are people today that won't believe it's true even when it's happening. Until it happens to them, it doesn't matter how many people say it. It doesn't even matter if the people that are doing the bad things say it, they still can't believe it. You need to wake up, okay? All right, so here's one real quick. Link number one, a young man, looks like to be 20-something years old. Let me read it to you. Here it is. An 18-year-old named James Martin. This is one that's a read. Most of these are really, really short. This is a short, like 1-minute read. An 18-year-old young man named James Martin has been sentenced, to a staggering 2 years and 2 months in prison, for real. Why? All for the audacity to march outside of an Islamic center in Scarborough, North Lancashire, brandishing a flag. That's all he's doing. Okay? Now, all of the Islamic people in the world can kneel down and pray in the street and come and stand in front of churches and protest in the middle of the streets, and nothing will happen to them. But you get a guy who says, I'm just going to go wave him. He's not even talking. He's just waving the American flag. Not the American, the English flag. They arrested him, and you can watch it on video. They put him in jail for 2 years. And the same people that put him in jail, please open your mind. The same people that put him in jail want to put you and I in jail. They're actually starting legal proceedings. Elon Musk, some big figures, because if they can get the big figure, then all the little lemmings, all the littler guys, we're not the big guys on the chessboard, right? We're the little ones, those little, what are they, pawns. That's a terrible thing. You get what I'm saying? So they're going after the big guys first. Sometimes they start with the little and move their way up. This time it's the other way around, going with the big guys. If they can get these guys like Elon Musk or the guy I'm going to tell you about here in just a minute, then they'll come for you. They really are coming for us. They really are. It's not Doomsday, okay? It's not. Okay? It's not Debbie Downer or Nancy Negative, or I got to think of some guy names, all right? So they put him in prison for 2 years. Number two, this is an 18-second long video. You can watch it, okay? 18 seconds. Now, this might not at first seem to go along with our theme, which is freedom of speech. But in a way, I think it does. Because the current president, vice president, God forbid, the current vice president that's running for president, and I'm not saying this as I don't like you or blah, 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 you're a reptilian or, I'm saying that this is a truth according to what actually has been her speeches on video. So it shows a side-by-side, 18 seconds long, shows a side-by-side of her saying the exact same thing at two very different time frames in two different places. Now, let me just say this about Kamala. She will say, and I believe this is a fair assessment, she will say whatever needs to be said to advance your own cause. And that has proven to be the truth. I put on a little meme that somebody sent me the other day. It might have been you, Steve. That little meme showed a wolf, or a coyote or whatever, standing behind a lectern and addressing a whole bunch of sheep and saying, if I'm elected, I will become a vegetarian. No. I laugh, but it's really serious. These people who have lived a certain way all their life, who are now saying, we changed our mind about, Kamala talked about, taking everyone's private insurance away and making it all government. Saying now, I did not change my mind about that. People do have a right to change their mind. But when you consistently change your mind according to whatever way the winds of popular opinion are saying, that makes you a chameleon. And frankly, it makes you a liar. And so, like the buyback, do you know that Kamala, okay, and this is not, I'm just saying this real quick. You know that Kamala said that she absolutely, when she was running for president before, you may have forgotten that she did, nobody wanted her, now everybody does, crazy people, okay, said on day one, she will not confiscate your weapons, but have a buyback program, okay, a buyback program. Now, that is the same. They're just giving you money to confiscate. Do you understand what she's saying? All of you who are gun owners out there, okay? That's a right. We have a right to bear arms. It's in the Constitution, okay? We're not changing that. Hopefully not. That right, remember when I said R&R? That right comes with a responsibility. Thank you, Lita. That right comes with a responsibility, okay? Responsibility, you lock them up, you keep them safe, you don't be stupid, you don't get drunk and wave them around, and you certainly don't shoot people with them, okay? All right, she says, day one, I will initiate a countrywide buyback of your weapons. In other words, we could just confiscate them from you. You know, black boot guys coming to your front door. We could just take them away from you if we wanted to, and we really could. And they probably could, unless they would start a war. So won't give my gun. Says amen. Amen, me too. But they'll say, let's, and you know it'll work. It would work. Now she's saying, oh, I won't do this. What do I mean it'll work? There are way more people that would freely give up their guns if they got money for them, because people are stupid. I'm sorry. Not everyone, hopefully not you, okay? Oh, well, they're going to confiscate it. No way. No way. No, never. You can take my gun when you pry it out of my cold dead, But if they say, hey, I'll give you $5,000 for your gun. I'm going to say it again because we're stupid. Sometimes we're just dumb. Anyway, she very likely, even though she said she's not going to do that now, okay? She's going to be a vegetarian. All right, saying whatever people need to hear, that's number 2. All right, I'm going to show you a clip. Actually, you guys who are watching live will not be able to see it. But if you watch this program on YouTube, you can. You can fast forward it to this if you want. I am going to ask if you guys would do me a personal Jim Moore favor. Okay, so since we moved back to, because we had so many people wanted it, okay, we moved back to a live Facebook format and figured out a way, thank you Jesus, to be able to download them to YouTube and Rumble for other people who are not on Facebook to watch them, right? Not everybody does this. Okay, we want them to be able to see it too, right? Well, unless the algorithms get boosted up like they now have on Facebook Live, they will not see that program. So I'm going to ask you personally, do me a favor. Only take you 5 seconds. Go, once I put the YouTube program on, go to it and watch a couple minutes of it. That's all you got to do. You can go more than that. You could share. I'm not asking you to watch a whole 50-minute program. Okay. And make some comments, whatever. All right, thank you for that. I really do appreciate that. I don't have any other recourse for the algorithms. All right, so clip number 1, you'll be able to see on that. So clip number 1, this is a minute and 47-second clip. Now the entire link is about 13 minutes long, but this is just less than 2 minutes long, the clip. This is some good news. Are you ready for some good news? Okay. 2 states, I'll tell you this one, then I'll tell you the other one here in a minute. 2 states, Arizona and Texas. Somebody write that in there. Arizona and Texas, okay? Arizona and Texas, all right? And again, thank you, Debbie. Thank you, Linda. Again, I want to emphasize, I'm not asking you to watch the whole program. Just go on it, make a comment or two, because I get time. Oh my gosh, you can't even believe how much stuff, I don't get to watch. All right, Arizona and Texas have made significant, you see, this guy's, this link, the guy comes on, I think his name is Benny. he talks about W's and L's. Okay, I'm using my fingers here. W's and L's. W means win. L means a loss or a lose. Okay, a win and a lose. A win and a lose. Okay, there are a lot of wins happening. And frankly, I don't get an opportunity to talk about those a lot. One of the best guys I see online that does talk about him is Steve Turley, with a T. Anyway. And so Benny starts out by saying, don't forget about the wins. And this is a win. Arizona has passed some legislation, finally got it through to where they're starting to go through their records, to go through their voting registration records and eliminate people that have died or who are illegal. In other words, it is still illegal in this country to vote if you're not a U.S. citizen. It's not enforced. They've had to write more legislation, but they're starting to do it. I don't have the number. I think it's in there. But let's go ahead and go to this clip make sure I'm on the right one. Clip number 1, go.
What's up, guys? Your boy Benny. Make sure that you count your W's. It's a lot of people dooming, a lot of people blackpilling, a lot of people counting L's instead of W's, and there are actually quite a few W's happening right now because the Republican Party is finally fighting for election integrity, because the Republican Party finally has taken seriously voting laws in this country. This is a breathtaking page on the Department of Justice, the U.S. Justice Department, bragging that it sued Arizona because Arizona had a bill that required you to be a U.S. citizen to vote. Now, you might be saying, wait a second, how can the Department of Justice be against U.S. citizens voting? Verification of that. Isn't that going to just destroy the country? And of course, the answer to that would be yes. This is the goal of the Biden Department of, it's Kamala Harris now, Department of Justice. Arizona passed legislation that violates the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and other federal state safeguards, says Gary Restano of the District of Arizona. The district's court orders help level the playing field so that it removes formidable barriers to Arizona's exercise of their rights to vote. They're bragging about the fact that it's a civil rights violation to ask people to be American citizens to vote. Now, this was appealed to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court just returned a verdict. In that verdict, 5-4, the Supreme Court held that you must be a citizen to vote in Arizona. It's amazing that we have to argue on these margins, but here we are. The Supreme Court has reinstated a provision in the Arizona law that requires voter applications to provide documentary proof of citizenship when registering to vote. Glory be to God.
All right, if you were watching the YouTube, then you got to see that clip. Of course, it's in the link. The full link is in there. Fantastic that finally Arizona has been one of the, in my opinion, most corrupt states when it comes to voter registration, illegal voting, ballot harvest, all this stuff. Okay, so, oh, you're an election denier. No, I don't deny elections. I deny the legitimacy of them. And so is every Democrat and every Republican throughout history. So don't treat it like it's some new thing, okay? It's right to question the legitimacy to make sure we get it right. Anyway, so let me go to number 3. Well, actually, I'm just going to skip over that one. It is another. Now, listen, when I put in multiple links for the same subject, it's because each one of them covers it a little bit differently and it helps you understand. And again, I'm going to encourage you. This is only like 7, 8, 9, whatever links. Go to them. You'll get through them in minutes. They're not very long. Okay. And again, when I say that, when they're really long ones, I'm sorry, I don't mean to repeat myself over and over, but I need you to hear it. You don't have to watch. If I watched all the videos all the way through to the end, I'd never be able to watch them all. Because a lot of them are 50 minutes, an hour and a half, 90 minutes, whatever. That's the same thing, by the way. I just can't. But usually, the way they conduct these videos is you can get the primary information in the first 5-10 minutes, and then it goes deeper and deeper and deeper, which is good, but not everyone has the time for the deep stuff. All right, so the good stuff is right at the beginning. Okay, you get that. All right. So that's number 3. That's another one. They're requiring citizenship, which always should have been enforced. Now it is. Now, here's another one, number 4. It's only 45-second longs. And this is an interview. This is really interesting. The human nature, okay? This is a guy that goes out without giving any kind of, I'm for Trump, I'm for Kamala. And he says, who are you going to vote for, Trump or Kamala? And almost every one of them, I think, says, oh, Kamala. Now, here's the point of this very short video. They cannot say why. I'm stunned and amazed sometimes at people. We listen to what everybody says. This man's evil. He's horrible. He's Hitler. He's the devil. Okay? He's possessing people. You know, he is, you know, killing millions of whatever. And we just believe it. We just believe it. Oh, yeah. And you see him, and they interview him, and they're like, oh, don't you know that he's Hitler? Don't you know he's the devil? It's just crazy. People are, you know, come on. All right. Tom, if you're watching, I'm not getting frustrated. I've been that way already. All right. Love you. So, they go out and they interview these people, and none of them can say why they're going to, except one person says, well, it's because she's a woman. It's because, he's a truck driver. It's because he grows turnips. I mean, we don't really want to be responsible to know why we're doing, so we just go with the flow of the majority of the people or the public, okay? We do this in school, kids. And this is grade school stuff, okay? Oh, here's the popular. We want to be with the popular. It doesn't really care what's right or wrong. Okay, all right. Now I'm going off. All right, number 5. Now this is kind of the last few I'm going to talk about here real quick, about 5 minutes. So some of you are familiar with Telegram. It is one of the largest, top 3 or 4, whatever, media outlets in the world. You've got X, you've got Twitter, you've got Facebook, you've got Rumble. Actually, I don't think Rumble's that high, but I love Rumble. And Telegram. Now, Telegram is unique in the sense that it's kind of, I don't know how to say it. Maybe just for me, it's kind of been under the radar. It's just something I have on my phone, and yeah, I send my messages out and I watch 1 or 2 people. It apparently is massive. They have hundreds of millions of people. The man's name who founded it, a young man, he looks to be in his 20s, maybe early 30s. The founder of Telegram, his name is Pavel Durov. Pavel Durov. He is a Russian, very young, probably the youngest Russian billionaire. He's a billionaire because of Telegram. He has recently been arrested in France. Now, there's a lot of background. I'm just going to tell you to watch these. Again, this one's 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Then the real good one is a 58-minute interview with Tucker Carlson. Okay, he's a hero to me. All right, Tucker does a super great interview with this kid, and I say kid, but he got arrested. Why? Because, now listen to me, you can go through and you can discern all the nuances. I'm going to just tell you what I believe to be the bottom line of this. It is this global movement towards controlling free speech. Now, the accusation is that there are criminals, mob people, human traffickers that are using his platform to do insidious things. And this is actually true. And it's also true for Facebook. It's true for all of them to one degree or another, depending on the parameters that they have set up to help stop this. Now, they're saying that Telegram hasn't done enough. So they arrest him. That's the first. Okay, do you understand? This is back to what's happening. Okay, this is now France is doing this. You see how quickly these things can spread like a virus. Now, that's a real issue, right? It is a real issue, for sure. Okay, there are some outlets, I'm not going to name them, some of those big ones that I just named, who are massively used for the most wicked pornography you could imagine that leads to human trafficking and some direct human trafficking. They're not hardly being touched at all. Why? Because, here's the bottom line, because the powers that be, that's the word I'm going to use, basically have access to those venues. And they don't have access to this one. And they're saying, hey, we have a right to have access to yours just like we do the other ones, so that we can control this. And so that's a big question. Do the police have the right to find out? I mean, we don't want mobsters, right? I mean, that's true, okay? Don't just go off the deep end and say, no, nobody should ever have a right for anything. No, that's not true. Okay, we have laws because you don't want your kids to be abducted on the street, right? Come on, let's, again, 3 times in the same program, I'm going to use the word stupid. Let's not be stupid. Think these things through. Use your brain. Talk to God about them. Okay, so there should be parameters and laws and so on. There always have been. Do they need to be increased right now? They probably do, because of the severity of, or the free information flow that's happened. We've never had it like this before. So should they be tightened up? Probably to some small degree, but not, see, they want to seize this opportunity to control it all. And that, my friend, is the absolute truth. Watch that one, number 5, number 6. So number 5 is a 2-minute one. Number 6 is a almost hour long. If you have the time to watch the Tucker one, it's really good. Fox does a 5-minute one on this. So there's like 3 of these that are all about Pavel. This is a big deal. Okay, listen, when I tell you, this is going to affect you. It may not affect you today, but it is going to affect you if it keeps going forward. Jim, what do we do? Well, first of all, get informed. Watch the links. Don't tell yourself you can't. Okay, my wife watches some of these, so she doesn't watch them all. But even her, you need to look at them. You need to know what you're talking about. Then pray. Okay, sorry, I wasn't picking on you, babe. Pray and ask the Lord, is there anything I should do beyond praying? I'm praying and I'm agreeing with you. We're in a 90-day prayer thing. Ask the Lord, pray to God, expose this stuff, raise up voices, okay? And not just Christian voices, okay? Okay? Come on. Listen, if it weren't for some of these social commentators who have only recently claimed to be Christians, we're not even sure if they are, it's not my place to judge, but if it weren't for some of these guys, we would be already in a tyrannical scenario. Okay? You ought to be thankful then. Anyway, pray, God, cause people to wake up, and then, is there anything I'm supposed to do? Okay? The Fox interview here at the end is really good. Now, there are a few other extras. I forgot Tom Cotton. You ought to see this little one. It's just 2 minutes long, where Tom Cotton just, he's addressed by one of these, well, actually, I was going to do one more clip. I should do one more clip. Okay. Clip number 3. This is not Tom Cotton. You should watch that one. This is a senator who just stops a liar in his tracks. He just stops him, because these guys just lie and they don't even think twice about it. I'm going to show you this one more one, though. This is the one from the UK. Okay? It's clip number... Oh my gosh, I'm away. Wow. Well, I can't do it. I'm out of time. I'm sorry. I'm out of time. Okay, so I'm not going to do the clips, but the links are still there. You need to watch them. Oh, I forgot to tell the other one. Texas has removed, I'll end with this, 1 million disqualified voters, either because they're dead. 500,000 of them are dead, and they just never took them off the rolls. That is grossly irresponsible for any governing body. 500,000 people dead and still on the voting rolls. What does that mean? That means somebody can imitate them and vote. And the other 500,000 plus 1, so together 1.1 million are people who are not citizens and so on. So finally, somebody's doing the right thing. That's another W. That's another win. Guys, I gotta go. I'm so sorry I didn't get to do all the clips. Tulsi Gabbard's on there. She says some great stuff. Oh my goodness, there's just so much. I just can't stop. I promise this will be the last one. Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook, Twitter, what's the other one he does? Facebook, Twitter, no, Instagram, sorry. Facebook, Instagram, and what's the last one? I don't remember. Anyway, this is good news, okay? It is, yeah. Mark Zuckerberg wrote a letter to Senator Tom Cotton confessing his cover-ups before the last election. Of course, now he's saying he was pressured into it. So here's the question. Why is Mark Zuckerberg finally confessing what everybody else has known all along? Because of what happened to this Russian young man, the starter of Telegram, Pavel, because he got arrested. In other words, Zuck, this is my opinion, Zuck is looking down the road and he's saying, this could go really bad for me. You see, God help us. Jesus, give us leaders who do what is right because it's right. Not because they're afraid they're going to get in trouble or they're afraid that they're not going to be popular. If we just had leaders who did the right thing for no other reason than it's the right thing, we would be much, much happier people. All right. Please look at the links. Please come back and tell me if you did. Please pray for this program and pray for us. Our future is in God's hands. And He knows. So we love you guys. God bless you. We'll see you on YouTube. Come back on, hopefully later on today. Just say hello or rumble. It'll make a difference. Love you guys. God bless you and give yourself permission to have a great day. Bye-bye.